Welcome to the
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Carry on.
Okay, yeah. I'm good.
Okay. Welcome to the Munchie Media Podcast. I'm Mason.
I'm Nick with no K.
I sound really tinny.
Tinny?
Can you hear that? Is that no? I feel like I normally sound tinny during the
I don't
recording.
know.
I hope not. And
I don't know. Does it normally sound good when you edit it?
it actually sounds alright.
Yeah.
I think it actually sounds better.
It might just be
in
because
editing.
we're getting direct feed from the thing.
It's so misleading, but as long as it sounds alright during the
I'm
end.
not sure. I have a lot of research I have to do.
Oh my god, yeah. For me, it's just trial and error. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I've been editing it more lately because it's part of my job now. So there's loads of things that I'm now like, oh, I need to research this or I need to figure that thing out because either I'm out of the loop or like. So recently I've been recording part of my new job at the Salad Project is
Did you say
we're not straight. I just looked at the tripod and I just saw we're not like a level at all, and it's bugging me.
You can fix it.
Nah. Okay.
Technical difficulties. But we also have to make sure your monitor's level, because otherwise how are we ever supposed to truly know? What if the floor isn't level? If you do this, does it record the zoomed in footage?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. I will use it.
It's on you.
Crisp. What were you saying about work?
So recently I started a new role at the Salad Project. So now in a way I'm doing like I have two roles. So I have front of house staff, which is what I was originally doing. Just working on the line, making salads, doing delivery tickets, that kind of thing, prepping food. But they were looking for a marketing assistant, and I wasn't at first. I thought like, oh, like they'll want someone maybe with more experience or is more qualified than me. But I just kind of popped the question by one of my managers. I just said, have you had many people apply? Or like, have you filled the role already? And he just said, oh, no, we haven't. And I didn't say it in a way as if like I was looking for it. I was saying it as if like, oh, is the job still there? And he said, oh, like, are you asking for someone? I was like, no, I was thinking about it for myself. And he said, well, if you want to talk to us about it, you can.
Was it all done in house? Like, did you speak to your manager for the job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, they obviously known. I told them, I study graphic design. They knew like I do photography, stuff like that. So it's not as if like I was just asking and it was kind of out the blue, like, oh, you're into marketing?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Did they get anyone to like train you, or was it just kind of expected that you could just go straight into it?
No. They are showing me some things that are kind of new to my role, but for the most part, so my main like job role is making TikToks and reels for obviously for TikTok,
like
and then for Instagram.
social media.
Yeah, we want to get into that space of like kind of short form videos.
Yeah, it's a great advertising tool.
Yeah, a bit comedic, a bit more I think personal. Like we plan to make more videos with the team and just you see TikToks of like friends together, and it's like we have quite a good vibe at work as well. Like everyone's quite close. Everyone's we're almost like a family in a way. Which is very cliche.
Very nice. Like the things you were saying felt very nice, but then I met a few of them recently to go see Doctor Strange, and like everyone just got on really nicely. There was like no uncomfortableness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was fresh. And then the video that I saw you put on Instagram today,
Yeah.
because I wasn't even sure that you made it, because it just looked like brand standard kind of advertising in that sense. It was just high quality, but it was just you just shot it with some of your actual people that work there as well, right? Like
I mean, those were the three main managers of the store.
Oh, really?
We have Flo, James, and then Clem. So we have Flo and James are the owners. Clem is our culinary director.
Oh,
so like all the food stuff is Clem, and then the business is Flo and James. But yeah, that was literally just like Flo sent me a reel that he had seen. He was like, "Oh, could we do something like this?" And then I was thinking, okay, like we could do it with a drink, we could do it with something else, and then we ended up doing it with a salad. Like
I like that it went into the camera. At the end. All I could think about was you afterwards having to sweep it up off the pavement. Like
because we did it with one take.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, did you just do it like
so we did a take where he just kind of flipped it, but it didn't like really go into the camera. It kind of just more into the air.
Like
but we kind of reassembled it, and then he didn't say like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do it." He did ask me like, "Oh, is it okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's get the shot.
Go for it."
Like even though like I didn't have any like you can get a UV filter or like a polarizing.
I might actually have a UV filter. You can have.
Yeah. You can essentially, once you put them on, they're essentially just another piece of glass.
Just an extra layer.
Exactly. Like, so even if you're not using it actively for its purpose, it's just there to kind of, if you scratch your lens or something, it will scratch the filter and not your lens. So I'll get one of those.
Because I mentioned it's much cheaper to replace a lens, like the UV lens.
Yeah, the filter.
Than a whole fucking... Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's get this shot. Like, it's only food. I can wipe it off. It's fine. I can clean it. But yeah, I'll get something for it. But yeah, it's like we thought like it will look better because it will go into the camera. It will kind of it's coming towards you, right?
Because it very naturally went to blank.
Yeah. Because if you see how they kind of do some of these things in like commercials, they have this big kind of tube lens, that's very thin, and it's a macro lens. So it means it can focus at a very close distance to something, and so essentially what they do is they have this long lens with a big camera, and they just that's where like if you ever see shots of like Coca-Cola adverts or even Apple where they're going really up close like into the bottle, or like I don't know, cinema adverts where they're like going through the popcorn.
I think it's View that has like a whole segment about the leather on the chairs being sewn,
exactly,
the Coke
like
being filled.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I think more recently you get more of it that's just been done 3D animation, which is fair enough. But you can do essentially those same shots with that kind of lens. So it's like, but I don't have one of those.
Advertising and marketing is such, not deceptive, but I think it's quite a magical world, because it's really interesting seeing how they firstly have to identify the brand and then make it come across in live action. For me, it's always like fizzy drinks, my favorite. Fizzy drinks are not actually like bursting at the seams, but what they do is they take flat 7-Up and they drop a pill in there, and then it fizzes like fuck, and then they take these gorgeous, or it's like food that has like hairspray on it, like strawberries. They'll be covered in hairspray because it makes them glisten and they look really smooth. It's like, if you actually were to eat the shit you see on TV, it would probably do damage because it's so unhealthily manufactured.
Yeah.
But it's the idyllic, the ideal of like of the food that makes it so grabbing. Like, but there's just so many like ways you can entice people.
You want to try and make it kind of tantalizing in a way. You want to make it look as if it's nice. Like
for the video you did, like the focal point, like the first thing you see is the bowl of salad. It's very like in the shot. It looks like the priority, right? And then you see the people coming towards it. It's like even how you framed it does so much of like the work in your brain.
Yeah.
I think it's a very deep pocket of media. Like
it. I mean, for me, it's exciting because I think for me for a while I haven't really, like you've been editing the podcast. I haven't really been editing anything in a couple of years, to be honest. I'm taking photos again. I'm doing more photography. I'm shooting videos. I'm kind of like I'm getting back
just throwing yourself back into all
exactly
of it. Like
it's actually really motivating. Like that video that we posted today, it was fun to make. It was fun to edit.
Yeah.
It was just fun in general. So
the thing with short form content like that as well is I think you have to be really creative, especially over like a long period of time. You have to really get like smart about how much time you have.
Yeah.
Like, even like the frame, right? On a phone, it's narrow. There's so much thought that has to go behind it. And I think that's like a really good challenge for you to like just improve your craft. Like, oh, I've got 6 seconds, let's make it pop, right? Like, it's these fun like limitations that makes you think harder about it.
Yeah, and I think like I've made, so this is my third post for the company.
Okay, yeah.
But like,
It's all on Instagram?
Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and
'Cause
TikTok.
it
Is it the
goes
same
on-
name?
Yeah,
Salad Project. At
it's
Salad
the
Project.
.salad.project.
Okay.
Check out Spitalfields Market. So the 2 previous ones that I did, like I made them and we posted them, but it's like even already it's been 2 weeks, a week, and it's like I already know like, okay, I can do that differently. I can do this better. If I do this again, I should try get better lighting somehow, or do this kind of shot instead of that because it looks better on TikTok, or there's little things where now like I've just been writing in my notebook, just like, okay, like I need to figure out, like, one thing is if you shoot in slow-mo on your phone or even your camera to an extent, you'll often see like the light flickering, and one, it's distracting, and 2, it's not very appealing to look at, and 3, if it can be really bad, then you don't want to be like causing light seizures or anything like that, although I don't know if it's that dramatic that it would cause that.
I guess it depends on how it comes across on the screen. If it's a very large, bright screen, I guess, like...
Yeah.
So how would you work around it?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure yet, but I just have a page of things like, okay, I need to research this, because I know there's a way to fix it.
Yeah.
So you don't have that problem, but it's like, okay, I need to do some research on that.
But you just need to spend time.
I need to spend a bit more time with my camera to figure out, okay, how can I get better colors so the food looks, because like generally what I'll do, and I'll do this in photography as well, is I'll shoot my videos and I'll shoot my photos in like a neutral picture profile, where it's like, so if you take a photo on your phone, Apple has software that is doing the processing for you, and
a lot of it's AI now, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
and it will make the photo look a certain way, and you get certain colors. If you take a photo on a Canon, it will look a certain way. The colors, it's called like color science. If you do it on a Sony, different color science, it looks different.
What about RAW?
RAW is file format.
Okay.
So a JPEG, it's a file format for photos.
I thought you shoot in RAW.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But so there's JPEGs and there's RAW.
Oh, okay.
RAW is essentially raw data.
Yeah.
It's like as it comes out of the camera.
Because it's a really large file.
Yeah, that's why it's a bigger file, because it's just the raw photo. So that's why you need like editing software like Lightroom to then process that and put it all together.
Yeah.
But JPEGs are the photo, but it's already been processed and compressed into a smaller file format.
That makes sense.
So the idea behind RAW is that you can take a photo and maybe the lighting isn't the best, or I don't know, you maybe got the colors wrong, or
but if you shoot
stuff
in
like
RAW,
that, you can kind of fix it more.
Are the colors going to come out? As they were
or
shot?
like if say I go take some photos and they actually turn out a little bit dark. With RAW, I can just bring it up and it will still, the quality is maintained.
Yeah,
but
it's not becoming like fuzzy.
If I do that with a JPEG, then it's already been compressed, and then you're adding effects to it, and then you export it again, it's being compressed again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like shooting in 4K, releasing in 1080.
Yeah.
That kind of idea.
Well, I've started doing that for a lot of things now, just because it's not always reasonable to shoot and upload in 4K.
Yeah.
Especially because like, even uploading and downloading it, I've been having so many issues. And the difference between 1080p footage and 4K footage is literally the difference between 2 days of my life trying to upload an episode of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like it's actually insane how time consuming it becomes.
Yeah.
So, and it's not even that big of a project. So it's just I'm starting to understand that sometimes it's like you shoot high and you sell low.
It's a way of maintaining. It's like, if you think of it in terms of music, right? An artist will record their vocals and they have those masters, and then they put effects on it, but they can always go back to that master.
Yeah.
It's the same thing where it's like you want to shoot a photo in RAW, or you want to shoot a video in 4K, so then you can add as much to it, but still maintain the quality because you have a bigger file size. If you think of it in a literal sense, if you've ever shot film photography, and you have 35mm film, which is just regular film, bog standard. It's, just a little thing like this. It's like this, like one of those.
Yeah.
But then you get medium format, and those are measured in inches, I think. So you have like 4x3, or you have 4x4. So essentially you have like a literal, big thing like this. Wait, I'll do it for like that. That's on a reel. And instead of on a roll of film, you might get 28 shots, 30 maybe, depending on how big the roll of film is.
Yeah.
But with medium format, depending on the camera as well, it'll be 10, 12, maybe a bit more. Like that's all you get. But because physically it's a bigger piece of film, you have more information on there. So you can print it bigger.
Yeah.
So it's a similar concept like that.
It makes sense. Like, a lot of my experience comes from like video editing and photo editing, but in like the other side, like a lot of it's like file sizes. I always have to download fucking JPEGs to like. It's all like layering stuff, right? And
exactly.
It's the amount of times I've been working on a very specific size that I didn't even notice, and it wasn't until I brought in an outside asset, that then it scaled up, and I was like, well, it's either way too big or way too small and pixelated. Like, it confused me at first, but like obviously now you kind of you start understanding the larger scale of things.
I mean, the thing is, right, is that 4K in a way it's really common now. So you can get a lot of media in 4K.
Well, I didn't realize that cameras had 4K for ages.
Cameras have had 4K for ages. Phones, even to an extent, they've had 4K pretty consistently for a few years. But the thing is, for the most part, people don't have enough internet bandwidth to actually stream 4K or like.
You ever tried to play like a cloud game on 4K? Like that's not gonna happen.
Trying to do that, trying to stream any movies, stuff like that, you probably getting it in 1080.
Yeah.
Pretty much all our media is consumed at 1080. Our phones are 1080p. Everything is 1080p.
Is HDR 1080? Or no, what is it? Because Disney Plus have a lot of their older like Marvel stuff. I think it's all IMAX enhanced and shit now. But I still don't think it's like 4K or anything.
The thing is that they have the technology to display those films properly, so you can see it in the way it's like cinematic IMAX
shot or some shit. Like.
But if you're putting it on your little TV or your little my monitor,
iPad,
your iPad, like it's being downscaled massively. So yeah, it's IMAX enhanced or it's HDR10.
But
blah,
then it's
blah,
also
blah.
compressed, like.
But you're viewing it on a 6-inch screen.
Yeah.
So it kind of negates that. Which is kind of the point. It's like you shoot in 4K, but you end up with gigabytes of data, of files. But in order to upload that to TikTok, I have to get a video down from like, 200 megs to 15.
Yeah.
Like
even stuff like I was trying to like get thumbnail footage or banner images for like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm so sick of websites telling me that it's too high a resolution, and it'd be like 300 pixels. So you have the technology, to do this higher, but
I mean,
I was quite surprised at MoonKnight. I thought because it was quite a dark show, a lot of blacks were used, but I think in those dark scenes, it was actually came out very nicely. The opposite of that, I'd say, was I don't think you ever watched Game of Thrones, right?
No.
One of the last seasons, there was a whole episode that was shot in a castle. It was like the big siege of like the evil guys. The whole episode was so dark, but no one could fucking see it because everyone was streaming it, which meant it was just these big chunks of like different black pixels.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what Game of Thrones was now. And everyone was like, it was the climax as well. It was crazy. Because like Batman did it phenomenal. I think that was the reference I should have gone for. The Batman had so many like pitch black scenes almost, but it was still very clear what it wanted you to see.
But have you seen it on like a small screen?
No. Well, someone told me at work the other day, like they'd watched it on their phone, and I said that's not good enough.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, I've got 4K monitor, I've got a Dolby speaker. I was like, that's how you should watch that film. I was like, it does make such a difference to me, like the experience in how you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's difficult to because if you think to how films are made, they're made in, you know, an editing booth, and they'll have these big screens that are
industry standard,
they're standard, they're color rated to a certain point, and they're very color accurate. They have, you know, so much resolution, blah blah blah, and then they'll have a whole sound system to go along with that. Whereas, so they're when they're editing it, and they're editing those blacks to be really dark, and to them it will look like, okay, this is, you know, it's dark, it's maybe building tension, or it's meant to have effect. But then when you need to preview it on your device first, so then you can see, okay, actually that darkness, it doesn't translate to what you see when it's going to be viewed on the, you know, on the big screen,
struggle
or
sometimes
on a monitor or something
with the projectors at cinemas, because I find that they're not actually bright enough sometimes. Especially if it's like a shitty cinema, like the projectors, if they're just outdated, you really struggle to enjoy these like new films, because projector, I think it's going to be kind of gone. Well, not gone. Okay, it's very necessary. It's very helpful. But I think
it'll
the
be
tech
like,
just feels like it's getting outdated almost.
Do you think it'll be like, have you seen Samsung at these like expos there? They have these basically just walls that are TVs now.
Oh my god.
They'll just have like a Samsung cinema, but it will just be this giant thing. It's just
That's
an OLED panel.
Where do we go from like the LED lights we've got all over? So we'll just make the whole fucking wall LED, right? Like,
exactly, yeah.
It's so, because what do we do? Like, if you look in like a building complex, maybe let's say like after 6 p.m, you can see maybe 50% of that building lit up by edge LED like lights. I feel like people are just going to think, oh, that's what bougie people want. They wanted glass at first, like just windows, the whole house windows. Now it's going to be all LEDs that you can see through, or some shit. Like, how they're going to like simplify
LED
everything.
bricks,
like Lego bricks.
Your whole house is going to be like a digital, I don't know, digital wallpaper or some shit.
I can't wait to see those guys that have like big speakers, and like the whole walls to like displaying the levels and shit are like,
yo, have you seen my NFT brick on my house, man?
Just the one brick outside. Just like,
that one brick is worth $200,000.
What if it just looked like every other brick as well? What if you lost it amongst all the other bricks?
Yo, this brick was designed by people.
The people brick. I bet.
Think about it. There'll be like bricks. Supreme, but NFTs or some shit. It'll be so dumb.
Supreme made a brick, right?
Is that your phone?
That was my phone. I fully just.
Jesus.
I'm not trying to reference it right now, but I am gonna reach for it in a second. Supreme made like just a brick, right? They sold that off.
Yeah, I don't remember how much it was, but I remember I looked and it was like
too much for a brick.
I want to say it was like, I don't know, $180, $300. They did a crowbar. They've done beach balls.
Yeah, they did like a step ladder.
Yeah, they had they had a Supreme like money gun.
The money, yeah, that was. I remember that because it was at the height of some of the douchebags on YouTube like scamming people.
Yeah,
and they were like, "I've just won a Supreme gun," and it's like it literally just shot out money. That was their own money, so you have to have money for it to work, right?
Yeah, or you just use fake money.
Yeah, you could just do that. Fucking broke bitches, like.
Have you seen? I saw on Instagram. What's it? You remember 6ix9ine?
Yeah, what, Takeshi?
Yeah, the fucking...
Is that his name, Takeshi?
Yeah, Tekashi 6ix9ine. I mean, that was his actual name.
Sounds like a cute cartoon cat.
But, like, I don't know, in some video he was, like, flashing money, and then, like, a week later he was like, nah, it's fake. I don't have it like that.
It's Monopoly money, mate.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about MoonKnight for a bit?
Yeah.
Now that it's finished?
Let's do it.
Well, for a start, I think the last 2 episodes of MoonKnight were probably my favourite.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to see more of that kind of like. I want to see them lean into like the mental health side of him, because obviously, like, it's necessary to do like an origin series because MoonKnight is actually a very obscure character. Like, I'm guessing 90% of my social circle had no fucking clue who he was beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like. I went into it not really knowing much about it.
Yeah.
I know that you knew a lot more, but for the most part, it's like I was watching as, you know, someone that was unaware of what the character's history was. Coming
at it from that side, I think the mystery was actually really fun. Because for a start, they started with Stephen Grant's personality, who isn't like the main personality that's usually like, you know, it's not the Peter Parker of that character, right? That would be Mark. So I thought it was very interesting actually coming at it from him. He's
Yeah.
very sweet and innocent, and then you find out who Mark is, and you're like, this guy's an asshole. Like, and he's
Yeah.
supposed to be the main guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the way that
not going to spoil too much, but
I think the way that they built the suspense
yeah,
okay, he's Steven, but he doesn't really know about Mark and how he discovers about Mark because he's, he wakes up in random places, or
yeah,
he'll strap himself to his bed, but he'll still like somehow be like beat up, his body all like fucked up just because of the night before fighting.
I thought his performance was astonishing.
Massive hats off to Oscar Isaac.
Like, because by the end of the show, when it's kind of like seamless,
yeah,
I think that's when you really see it, like in a high intense scene, and he's going back and forth. Like, I think that's what people want to see.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of fucking MoonKnight memes I get on my Instagram now, and essentially all of it is just him just swapping between personalities.
Yeah,
and then other characters kind of having to just deal with it. I think that's where a lot of, because he's a lot like Doctor Strange in the sense I think they're great side characters. You put him with Spider-Man or some shit, like you've just got a whole story, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's been greenlit for season 2. I'm not 100%, but I think the show got pretty decent feedback.
I saw that it hasn't been renewed yet.
I'm not sure if it's officially been.
I don't know. I think
because it was also pretty self-contained.
It was very self-contained. It didn't really. It wasn't really about the Marvel universe. It was about
the only thing I can think of is it referenced the Black Panther ethereal plane.
Oh, the
at one point.
ancestral plane. Yeah.
Yeah, but apart from that, like I don't think there was many ties. To
for the most part, it kind of avoided that. But I think I was thinking about it the other day, and it's kind of wild to think that like, we have with the new Thor that's going to come out, we're introducing like Greek gods. We have
Marvel loves their pantheons.
Yeah, like more gods from like Norse mythology as well. And then now we're doing like not Greek gods, Egyptian gods and like Egyptian mythology and stuff.
I was
like
also
that.
thinking about how DC tend to pick from certain pantheons and then Marvel tend to pick at the others.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, as you said, like Norse and shit, like that's all Marvel. Egyptian with Black Panther as well, like that kind of area, that's all on Marvel. But then DC, like they did, they're very Greek for sure because they did a lot of the Greek gods for Wonder Woman. That's a whole very like Greek. But they took a different approach where they kind of made them superhero people. Yeah. In a superhero world instead of like a god pantheon. Yeah. That we see them like as everyday people.
Yeah, like an actual entity, a big entity.
Because they called out Khonshu at one point for putting him in a suit and letting him run around and do shit. Because all the other avatars are just like trying to blend in, and then he makes Marcus. And I was like, to be fair, like as gods, trying to like come in with the times. If you saw all these superpowered people, you'd be like, yeah, I'll just put one in there, throw your hat into the ring, like
why not?
But I think it's super interesting. I thought the visuals, like some of the CGI was a little bit bad. There's one shot of the cape specifically that I see get used at the time. I'm right in my script that I'm writing for it. I did call out this exact cape scene, but I also called out the fact that cape physics are notoriously fucking hard to do. Yeah, like Batman Arkham Asylum. I think it took one dude like 2 years of his life or something just to animate the cape. There's 2 whole years of your life to one cape. That is the ratio of cape physics, right? So I wasn't too pissed off because it kind of came back in the episode with the big spectacle with the sky. Yeah. And I think I saw a lot of people go, oh, that's where the budget went for the CGI.
Yeah, it definitely had it where it mattered, for sure.
Well, Khonshu I thought looked amazing. Yeah. He was very, like, he had these, like, wispy hairs and shit. That would look really good. Even still, the suit looked amazing.
I just find it very, like, cool that Marvel is now at a point where they can bring these quite abstract kind of beliefs or different kind of... like bits of history that they can bring and tie into the cinematic universe.
They couldn't have done this 10 years ago. Yeah. Imagine saying, here's this obscure D-list character with mental health issues. They would have been like, no.
And I think it's also great that they did it as a series and not as a movie.
I think it works in the favour.
It works far better as as a series.
For character dramas in general, long form content just kind of works better because you can give the time to these characters.
Yeah.
In a 2-hour film, like you've only got so much time to talking, right?
Yeah. It's some of the best filmmaking that Marvel has done. Probably since I'd say at least Infinity War Endgame.
Yeah.
That was like the last peak, really.
I will say the new Doctor Strange. I've heard people say that the cinematography was just amazing because Sam Raimi understands that like, the camera's always moving. He has really goofy shots as well, but like that and Moon Knight just seem to have cinematography that we haven't had in the MCU for a long time. It was always like really static, boring shots.
Yeah.
But now, like, the camera's moving all the time. It's working in universe. And it's like some of the weirdest shit that we've seen, like how the transitions. I think in both Moon Knight and Doctor Strange, especially the magical stuff, I think should have good cinematography because it kind of emphasizes the weirdness of how people perceive it, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah.
I definitely like they've made Moon Knight more of a magical character. In the comics, he was more of a Batman type in the sense that he was funded by himself. It was all like gadgets. He had like a moon plane at one point. Like it was literally just a little crescent moon that flew around.
Yeah.
And it was like a physical costume, but I kind of like that now. It's just like more of a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's just convenient for a big movie. You have Moon Knight in something if he can just make his suit appear.
Yeah.
And shit like I feel like I don't know. It just leads to more interesting avenues. No, I don't want it to become like a Mary Sue.
Yeah,
but
they've definitely opened a lot of doors with this, and they've been going in that direction with the Marvel shows for sure. I think I really enjoyed what was it? Loki. Loki was fantastic, I think.
Loki and WandaVision are the only two before Moon Knight that really got recognition, I think. Winter Soldier was kind of just passed off. Like,
yeah, Winter Soldier is just...
It's just kind of action.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to someone at work, and they just said, like, they were kind of trying to force a message on you too much. It's not that, like, those things aren't bad or they shouldn't, actively try to incorporate people of color into cinema. And it's jarring. It's not that those things are bad and it shouldn't be shown in cinema. It's that when it's so prevalent and it's in your face, it's maybe not something when you're coming home from work, you don't want to go, I want to watch something where essentially someone's pointing a finger at me.
Yeah,
it's like I just want to chill out.
I want to watch this ethnic group tonight.
So it's just like maybe you want something that you can kind of casually watch.
Well, it comes at the cost of the product because their focus is on diversity instead of like maybe who's best for the role.
Yeah.
And it's like you can tell it when it just diverts focus, they kind of lose track of what we're supposed to be making it good. I found that rebellious group in the Winter Soldier, they fucking made me so angry because it was just like they would come on screen and you knew it was going to be 10 minutes of preachy bullshit that probably didn't make any sense past like 5 minutes of thought by a character who I've seen her in Solo play the same kind of shit but just dramatic because I think it becomes like a more of a real life issue of I know people because I think she's London where she sounds very English.
Yeah.
And it's like I know really preachy preteens that like think they know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're like, "We should be saving the planet." And it's like they're not doing anything. They don't really know what they're talking about, and it's like I'm just getting those vibes. Like
it's a lot of regurgitation and just
what they think young people want to say.
Yeah, it's.
What was it? What was the issue around it? What were they fighting for? Was it because of Sokovia? No, it was because people vanished, right? And then they were like left in squalor or some shit.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I can't even remember what their message was.
I don't remember.
I think it was that half the planet disappeared, and then a bunch of people were left without anything.
Oh yeah, it was like a bunch of displaced people.
Or did they come back? They were people that popped back and then had nothing.
Yeah, like other people.
And then they became terrorists.
Yeah.
It was like this. What was it? Like a 19-year-old girl. She was like, "Yeah, came back. Shit was bad, so I blow stuff up now."
Yeah.
That was like the justification. Anyway, yeah, so Moon Knight was good. Talking about Doctor Strange, I don't want to get into that. We saw it twice.
Yeah.
Very, very different cinematic experiences in my case.
Yeah.
Like from my point of view, it was jarring.
Both times.
Both times. Like, firstly, I want to call out West 12 in Shepherd's Bush. I don't give a shit if you like it. Well, I'm not going to say that my gym's there, but it is there. So we thought we were clever, right? So opposite Westfield is West 12.
Yeah.
It's eerily similar in a lot of ways. It's not the same place, but we were trying to be smart. So I said, we couldn't find seats at Westfield, so I said, go to West 12. It'll be quiet.
Yeah.
And then we showed up, and Scott made a passive comment, and he was like, "I hate that Marvel films have become a Roadman thing now." And in my head, I was like, "Is it?" I thought it was still quite dorky. And then looking around the cinema, there were like 3 prevalent groups of Roadmen.
Yeah.
And it was
the
worst.
The whole way.
I've never been in a cinema my entire life, and I've gone a few times. I've never had someone actually call someone else out for being loud. Usually it's that very British thing where you just put up with it.
Yeah.
And not only was it the first time, it was like exactly how I pictured it happening. First we started off with the mum sounding like, I mean, what did she say? She was just she told him to shut the fuck up or something, but she spoke to the entire cinema.
Yeah.
And then like a couple got involved. Like, I think you said at one point, or he climbed over the chairs.
Yeah, there was this guy like sitting a row in front of us, but at the end.
Yeah, like they were tucked away.
This little couple, and like part of the way through the film, the guys. So if you imagine the couple's here, we're the row behind. We're like on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, yeah.
And then behind
us is a row of roadmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, whoever's boyfriend, got up and he literally stepped over the chair, and I don't know what he said, but clearly said like, "Can you guys please be quiet?"
It was very polite.
He was probably being quite respectful because it was believe it or not, the first time in the movie.
Yeah.
Because there was more than one.
Oh my god.
So that happened, and then. Yeah, then it was the woman that sounded just like a mum, and it was like, "Can everybody just shut the fuck up?"
Like everyone in the cinema just went silent because it's like being shouted at by him. You're like, "Yeah, I'm sorry."
Everyone went silent for a good 30 seconds, and then
it all kicked off again.
It's like the thing is, the unfortunate case is that when you tell like a little teenager to like, "Hey, shut the fuck up," and he's with his group of friends, they're all just gonna snicker and giggle and carry on.
They can't be serious, especially in a group setting.
Yeah, it's like now you've given them a reason not to shut up.
Fucking hate these people. They drive me insane because they feed off it. And you go, "Shut the fuck up," and they go, "Oh," and it's like. There's nothing you can do.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and then this was the last thing, is they pissed off an entire cinema.
Yeah.
And as soon as the credits rolled, they were up and they were walking away. They were like they were leaving pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then on the way out, one of them went, "Pussies," or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then our friend Scott, who, like in my head, I'm like, just don't escalate. They're on the way out.
Yeah.
It's almost gone. He was like...
I was literally waiting. I was like... I hope he's gonna leave it. He's gonna leave it. Okay.
Yeah. But no, the man went, "Pussies," and then Scott went, "Calls us pussies, but you're walking away." Scott, don't bring them back, please. I don't want to deal with this. And then as we left, so we sat through the credits and all that.
Yeah.
We left, and they were just all lingering in the lobby. Like, they were just waiting for us to walk past. It's like, why are you still here?
Yeah.
What a waste of your time. Just do anything else.
Yeah.
Like, the need to have this kind of like respect, right? Which is just being a twat in public, essentially.
You don't need to posture at people. Like, just get on with your life.
Fucking hell. That's how you prove to me that you're like, cool. Is like, you don't give a shit what I'm doing. You're just doing your own thing. And I'll be like, respect, man. But when you're sat there like trying to do all this stink eye shit, it's like, I don't think you're cool. I don't think you're tough. I just think you're a knobhead in a tracksuit that played into this like, well, you grew up around boys like this, so you form this like little hierarchy. This is a massive tangent, by the way. But like, it's this subculture of England of these Adidas wearing twats that ride mopeds because they can't afford a real car or anything. It's just like, and they think they're like the toughest, most badass shit coming. But it's like they struggle to hold down a Mackey's job. It's like, that's not competent. That's just childish. It's like the whole culture revolves around just kind of being a bit childish and spending money.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you can't be both. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so that was a shit experience. I felt like I didn't really get to watch the film
Yeah.
But then very luckily you had a spare ticket. You went again with your work colleagues, and I think that was so much nicer.
Yeah, much nicer experience. But yeah, it was first off a huge for me.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
the film.
a huge like really good job to Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen.
They carried that film very well.
Yeah, they killed it. As obviously this film is centered around the multiverse and essentially like different versions of the same character, and seeing how they play those different roles and how especially Benedict Cumberbatch, how he kind of like, you know, he has there's an evil Doctor Strange, there's another one, there's another one, like
there's one over there, there's one over there.
You see how like his like with his character, the decisions that he's made has ended up where he is. And
it was interesting when they had the same plot beats.
Yeah,
there was a bit where they said, "Oh, this thing happened," and then we've just seen that happen to our Doctor Strange. It's like, okay, well, how's that gonna? Where's he gonna go with this now?
Yeah,
because we've seen the bad version of it, so it's like,
it's like it's very much like an extension of What If.
Yeah,
it's like What If, but they really took it and extrapolated it across a whole movie.
I thought that last episode of I don't know if it was the last one, the one with Doctor Strange. I thought that was going to come into play a lot more than it did.
Yeah,
I think they did it, but not in the way I thought they did. It kind of rippled through other Strangers, but I don't think we ever actually saw that one from What If.
No,
but at the same time, we did see some What If characters.
Yeah, so
it's like, I don't know, they kind of did the vague in between that Marvel is their like quick out. But yeah, I thought Sam Raimi, so glad to see him come back, because he's kind of like, I remember Scott got mad at me at one point for saying the word campy, but I think it is a recognized media term. When I say campy, I mean it's just kind of goofy.
Yeah,
go watch the first 3 Spider-Man Sam Raimi films. That's what I mean. Campy. That is like, what's his face? The guy that I kept talking about, Bruce Campbell. He's in so many of his films. He always plays like a goofy character.
Yeah,
and it's like in this one, he's like a New York fucking like hot dog seller, you know. And it's like it's goofy, but the film takes itself seriously, and Sam Raimi's perfect at that.
Yeah,
like in Peter Parker and Spider-Man was always serious about the situation.
The balance between goofy and seriousness is very good.
And I think like a lot of people watching it might laugh not knowing why it's done, because they might think that it's not intentional. But the thing is with Sam Raimi, I think it's so intentional. Yeah. Like the goofy like zoom in screams, like where it would be Benedict Cumberbatch and he'd be like, like, and it would like zoom in and it was like, but it's referencing his old horror, Evil Dead era. Like it's got such a synonymous aesthetic to it. Yeah. I fucking loved it. It was so refreshing to see it in 2022. I never thought we'd get something like Spider-Man again.
I gotta be honest, I'm kind of, it's growing on me how kind of cartoony and they've really gone for like the comic book like costumes now, and they're really going for it. They did it with Hawkeye, with Batman as well. Like the Penguin is Penguin. Yeah. Like he basically looks like he's just been ripped off the page. Yeah, yeah. And the same for this film. And without spoiling, there's other characters that show up in this film, and they're essentially just look like, oh, they've just taken that from like that comic book and they've just like,
I mean, the trailer showed Strange that I feel like, give it 10, 20 years ago, that's kind of what you expected him to look like at one point in the comics. Yeah. Like he's had a few costumes where it's like been red and like dark blue or black. And that was like a whole period of Doctor Strange, whereas now he's known as like a red cloak with a blue sort of... Yeah. I love costume design, and I love that like some of the designs they chose were actually just older versions that aren't considered the normal anymore. Yeah, the most popular one. Like I know the Ultimate Marvel Universe had a ton of stuff like that, because the Ultimate Universe was them trying to redo everything, but with some of the same characters. That's where Spider-Man originally got these like big fucking eyes. Like that came from Ultimate, or... Venom in that was supposed to be like a cure for cancer, and he was just like a goo in a vial, whereas like that originally he was a space alien. No, I think that one still takes place with like the space alien. Oh, okay. Yeah, because there's a whole Guardians of the Galaxy comic comic line where they go to like the symbiote planet and shit. But it's nice that they kind of use their source material like they do. Because obviously Wanda's always been an X-Men character. That's what I've been really interested about. Is she's been an X-Men character that had ties with Magneto and Quicksilver, and she has had kids in the past, and she's gone fucking crazy in the comics.
Yeah.
But obviously there hasn't been X-Men up until this point, where like she could really bounce off. It was always kind of she had like moving powers, was it like telekinesis and telekinetic abilities and shit.
Yeah.
But now they've kind of like made it. They made it like an ability that she was given, but then along with magic, she's kind of formed this new subset of witchy abilities, right?
Yeah. I don't know, because to me it's like she has the powers of like the reality stone, so the red stone.
Right.
But wasn't she when her and her brother got their powers, it was from the mind stone, wasn't it? So then it's like, okay, well, her brother got speed, but she somehow got like witch powers.
Yeah.
Or just power? I don't know.
That's the thing. It was like it was bleeding through that. The only thing stopping them was the rights to the X-Men.
Yeah.
They had the characters and they had the abilities, but they didn't have the context of everything else.
Yeah.
Like this whole species of humans in Marvel. Like,
yeah. All it took was a couple years. Disney snatched that shit up. It's like, Fox, we got you.
I feel
We got you.
like
We
on
got
the
our
inside,
characters.
the need for them to want to bring back Wolverine because they know how profitable he's been. They're just like, we can do it.
Yeah.
Give it a few films, we'll bring him in.
Yeah. I think they will.
And everyone's saying like, oh, they can't do it without Hugh Jackman. Yes, they can. They will do it, and we will like it.
It won't be
and we'll
Hugh
get on
Jackman.
with it.
It'll be someone else.
It'll be a different take. I want a short, stinky Wolverine.
Do you think they can recast Iron Man?
No. I reckon they can try a different version of Iron Man, which they're going to try in Armor Wars, I think, to some degree.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they're bringing Riri in, which was like the female, all new, all different Iron Man, but her run was so short. I know that Don Cheadle's coming back for Armor Wars.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see them replacing it. He had such a long tenure. He started it. He ended quite well.
Yeah.
And it's had ripple effects in like Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
I feel like it would kind of negate that whole film to have him just come back.
Yeah.
Because everyone kind of had to deal with the loss of Iron Man. And I think going back on it now would just be bad story writing, if I'm honest. I don't think
like,
we're gonna.
They could probably bring Black Widow back, but and it could work, but
would care. I don't think Scarlett Johansson would actually want to come back at this point.
Yeah,
she was done dirty on that film.
At this point, you wouldn't want to bring him back.
Yeah,
because it would just feel kind of undeserved and weird.
Well, because that was the original contention. I think I saw something. There might have actually been a deleted scene of an Iron Man in the Doctor Strange film that we just watched.
Okay.
Because in the Illuminati, I'm fairly certain that Tony Stark is usually a part of it.
Yeah.
So I could see them.
Sure I thought he was like one of the founding members.
One of the founders, with Strange.
Yeah.
I think maybe Black
I know
Panther
that
as well.
one of my Steph, one of my colleagues at work, shout out. He came up to me at work. He's like, "Oh, do you think that like the rumors are true? Maybe Tom Cruise will show up." Because like,
is Steph the one that came to the View It?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, a bit later.
Yeah.
He was the one that was late, but yeah, and I like. Obviously, at that point, I hadn't seen it. It was before
everyone
we watched it for the
Cruise,
first time,
yeah.
And I was like, "It's possible, but I don't think they would."
Yeah. This is the thing
with
with social
like,
media.
He's not in it.
Is one theory comes about, and then it just spirals, and it keeps going. And the thing is, most people were literally just saying like, the powers look like a Captain Marvel type. We've just done all this shit. It's like it wouldn't make sense, but I think the shot of like the Ultron robots, really kind of sent people into the Tom Cruise direction. Everyone, I kept seeing images of Tom Cruise's face on like this silver Iron Man body with the face showing, which I think was like a costume from one of the stories.
I think it's just photoshopped. It's not real.
Oh no! It was like abhorrently fake.
Yeah,
but
it's I don't know. It's like because people take rumors that like, well, it's not a rumor. I think Tom Cruise would like auditioned for Iron Man originally.
Yeah. Like Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi film was supposed to be the kid from Titanic. The kid from Titanic.
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
That kid.
I'm pretty sure it was Leonardo. I think there were some other people in the hat as well that are just massive names now.
Yeah.
And out of all of them, they picked Tobey Maguire, which I find hilarious. It's like he was meant to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, it would be like, I mean, to me, I would actually maybe laugh at this and find it funny, but like, if they did like a multiverse thing with Thor and then Loki, or Tom Hiddleston was Thor.
Yeah.
Or like they swapped, because Tom Hiddleston originally, he auditioned for the role of Thor.
That would have been such a
He got like real
film.
bulky. I don't remember if he like dyed his hair, but like he got a blonde wig. And like there's audition tapes of him doing that, but
well, because have you ever seen the image of him and Charlie Cox are like friends, and there's an image of them in like each other's outfit. So he dressed up as Daredevil, and then Charlie Cox dressed up as Loki.
Yeah,
and they were like kind of cheap, shitty costumes as well, which made it funnier. But it's like I'd love to see that, like just goofy shit. Like, God, because Tom Hiddleston's too skinny. I love him to bits, but like. Imagine him playing Thor.
I mean, if he bulked up, he could. I think.
Do you reckon he could get that big? Because he's tall, but I don't think he's wide.
He couldn't get to like Chris Hemsworth size.
That's the thing.
Not naturally, at least.
I don't like. Imagine trying to get to the size of Chris's bicep.
Yeah, not in like not in the time span it would need to be to like start filming a movie. But he could definitely like. If he knew the film was coming up or whatever, they have time, then he could maybe bulk up for like a year, maybe 2 years.
Well, speaking of, I know that Jane Foster, who's going to be obviously the mighty Thor in the next Thor, Love and Thunder. Was it Love and Thunder? Yeah.
Yeah, Love and Thunder.
She bulked up like fuck, like she's beefy now. I think anyway, like from the trailer, like her biceps look massive, and I was like, fucking fair play. I want to see like. Big Thor, you know, like I love that shit. I hope that film comes out really well. I love the female Thor storyline. I thought it was really interesting. I don't necessarily like Natalie Portman, but maybe she'll change my mind. I don't know. There's a few people in Marvel like Brie Larson and Natalie Portman that I kind of just put off to the side and forget about until they're forced in my face. But I don't know. She's just
a lot of people. My parents especially, they wrote off Natalie Portman after the sequel of Star Wars.
Oh,
they're like, nope.
She's just never.
Then like anytime we watch a movie and it just happens that Natalie Portman is in it, my parents are like,
we just skip a little bit.
it's not even that. They'll just be like, oh, she's not a very good actor. They'll still watch it, but it's like, oh.
I love as well that on top of all of it, they just did her so dirty on the third film. She just dies. She died of pure happiness, or whatever the fucking reason they give. Like
broken heart.
Broken heart. That's it.
Broken heart.
She dropped her Snickers down the drain, and now she's dead. It's just I don't know. I mean, hopefully she does a good job. I think with Marvel, they've got so many people watching every aspect of it now that it's like they could be micromanaged if they have to be. Imagine. I feel like they let Chris Hemsworth just kind of fucking do his own thing because he just has to be funny and bulky. But then again, do you know if it's Taika Waititi on the next one?
Yeah, it is.
Because it seems like
he tweeted the other day that he thinks that Gore, the villain for this film, is going to be the best of any Marvel.
Fair. I know he's supposed to be ridiculously like overpowered.
Yeah, because it's Christian Bale as well, and of course we love Christian Bale. At least I do. I like him.
It depends as a person or an actor.
No, as an actor.
Because he's a good actor.
Shit as a person. I was talking.
I do. He's an asshole.
Yeah, he's an asshole. The thing is, right? I was talking to Scott about this the other day.
I'm going to play the clip of him screaming at people behind the set.
I want you off the fucking set, you prick. I'm sorry. No, don't just be sorry. Think for one fucking second. What the fuck are you doing? Are you professional or not?
With regards to like music artists and stuff, it's like
to be fair,
like. Yeah, they'll do fucked up things, or they're a bad person, they're an asshole in real life, but it's like I can still respect their artwork for that. I can respect the work that they put out. Yeah. So it's like, Christian Bale in real life.
I'm not gonna not watch Dark Knight.
Yeah, I mean, he's an asshole, but when he's on screen, I really enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
So for me,
I need to watch American Psycho at some point.
Oh,
because I know that's his like big role, like.
Yeah.
Well, outside of Batman, but
I'm not sure I fully understood it, but it's a good film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it.
I don't know, it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of gory, but It's obviously on purpose.
Yeah, I like this. The problem with a lot of these films is in my brain. I've seen them in the sense that I've seen a lot of clips and had a lot spoiled. But watching it, I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. It's kind of it's almost jarring sometimes when I go back to like an old Tarantino film, thinking I know what it is and then being totally wrong, because you set yourself up to be in. Someone said this about Doctor Strange, I think, because it's a bit darker and it's a bit more kind of tense, which was, I thought, worked amazingly. But someone said, like, if I kind of knew that beforehand, I probably would have enjoyed it more from the outset. Because I think some people came in expecting Marvel, and then having that really dark scene play or some shit and being like, what is this? We spoke about it, like kids coming there. Because I think it's still a PG-13.
Yeah.
PG-13.
It's...
Some kids got traumatized at this wholeheartedly.
Yeah, Sam, he really pushed it. Because generally, especially with Disney films in general, if there's some kind of like... oh, someone gets their head chopped off or a limb gets chopped off. Everything is cut and it happens off screen. You hear the scream,
or it's
but
like blue blood.
It's off screen. You don't really see that. But in this film, you
oh my god, there's chopping,
gore,
there's
and
blood.
Like I've never been in a cinema before where like more people have like genuinely like gasped or been like whoa.
Do you know what's really funny is I know the scene you're talking about, and the same scene I went into work recently, and I said to my boss, "Oh yeah, we saw Doctor Strange twice," and then because we knew we were in public, we weren't spoiling anything. But he was like, "You know that scene?" And I was like, "I know that scene," and it's like everyone knows because it's the first time for a lot of British people that hear noise in a fucking audience. You got people that went, oh, "Really?" like,
whoa, yeah.
Oh, that was really refreshing. That was nice.
Yeah. And not just for that scene.
No, there was a few.
I've never been in a film where the audience has been like more like it's not
louder than the film.
on the points where like there were people talking, but like where something happens and then everyone reacts and everyone has like roughly the same
knew that
reaction.
everyone was like gripped.
Yeah,
like they were all engaged at the exact same thing. That's really nice.
Yeah.
That was one of the few funny things about the first viewing with the Roadmen is they were shit scared of every horror scene.
Yeah,
and the thing is, it's still Marvel. It's not that scary.
Yeah,
like it can be a bit gruesome and shit, but like on the offset, like it's more jump scare in the sense that like you might be caught by it, but I don't think anyone's like petrified.
Yeah,
but these lads, right? Some of them looked older than they should have been. We're like fucking like they were like twitching and they were squealing at each other. We're still in the tense moment, you know, the build up.
Yeah,
we've not even gotten to that bit. We're still like, ooh, like it's rising. And these roadmen that pride themselves on being like hard as shit, right?
Yeah,
I'll take you down in a fight. It's like this fucking Marvel superhero.
Yeah,
scared the life out of like several adult men, and that is something that I will never forget. Like that was nice.
Well done, Sam Raimi.
Yeah, you're making me feel good.
Making roadmen cry.
Yeah. Can we just have like this whole attack on roadmen led by Sam Raimi? He's like not horror film superhero films. Like we'll just show him the Dr. Octopus scene from Spider-Man 2. They'll be gone.
It's basically straight up thriller.
I loved it. He did a lot of practical stuff. What I did notice is that this is like subtle shit that I really like. The costume for Doctor Strange had been brightened up in between films. His cape's very red now. The blues are very blue. There's a lot more detail on it. I think if you go back and rewatch the first Doctor Strange, firstly, the suit, the costume is darker in general. But there's also like a lot of it's obscured. You know, it's not as bright and fun. But I think he's definitely sort of adopted the more superhero role now, where like he can have like a brighter costume. You notice it when like compared to other wizards in the film. Everyone's got like normal ass looking robes on. They're like yellow or brown or purple. Yeah. And then he's just got this big fucking red cape and blue suit. It's good. It works really well aesthetically.
One thing on that point is I'm not sure how I feel about like Wong's outfit.
I kind of loved Wong's outfit.
I like his outfit, but I feel like it needs to pop out more. Because at this point,
I wanted a brighter purple.
At this point, after
he's a superhero.
After Endgame, once Doctor Strange comes back, technically Wong is Sorcerer Supreme, not Doctor Strange. So I feel like as Sorcerer Supreme, he should stick kind out more than because like he stands next to Doctor Strange, and you're like,
but Doctor Strange is still the big guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's true. Give him like some big collar or some shit, or like a crown. I don't know. Give him a big goofy hat.
Something. But I don't know. Give him something.
His robes, I've noticed in this film, it was like it looked more like a traditional Chinese robe in the sense that. So it had blues and yellows. It had really nice patterns. It was just really dark. But But I think you could have done it up a little bit.
Yeah.
There must be something that they can do to distinguish them from the trainees over there.
Surely.
But yeah, I love Wong. Wong is like one of my favorite characters now. He's just the best comic relief.
I love that they, like, I kind of love and hate it that they have a very clear memeable moment in this film.
Which one?
Fortify your mind.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's such an obscure. I'm happy to spoil it because like there's just like they're trying to like get ready for an attack, and they find out the Scarlet Witch has got brain powers, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like this really aggressive take from I can't remember his name on Instagram. It goes by Wongrel, but I don't actually know what the actor's name is.
Benedict Wong.
Oh yeah, I think it is. Which is the fact that he's just named after himself.
Benedict Wong, Benedict Cumberbatch.
It gets confusing in
Benedict.
multiverse of madness, But like, yeah, it's fucking. If I can find a clip, I'll put it up.
Sorceress, fortify your mind.
But it's just like everyone in the because again with Sam Raimi, it was taken seriously. Like in the context of the film, it was meant to be real.
Yeah.
But like everyone laughed.
Yeah,
and it was a really wholesome moment. Like.
There's a couple moments in the film where it's like, I don't know, it's stuff that like you could say to your friends, and if you know, you know.
Dude, I want to start screaming this now. Fucking. Oh, I feel like audio listeners might struggle with that joke a bit, but if you ever saw X-Men the cartoon, you'd know. Oh, dude, it's
old school stuff.
It was a fun movie though. I had a good time. This is what I'd say. It's not the best Marvel film, but it's probably one of the ones that I could rewatch more than any others.
Yeah.
Because like the best one isn't necessarily the one that I'm gonna watch again. But it was such a nice, easy ride. I felt like maybe sometimes there were scenes where they were like, "We need to go now," and then they slowly walk to the next room.
Yeah. My biggest criticism of the whole film, like the second time we watched it, there was a girl in front of us.
Yeah.
Where it's like it came to a point, and they're like, you're building suspense, you're in the chase, and then they just stopped, and she was like, run!
Well,
it's just like,
I think I know the bit you're on about.
I felt the same way though. It's like, why are you stopping now?
Is that with the closing gates?
Yeah. It's like okay.
They literally
like
stopped.
10 seconds later, they just go through the door. It's like there's bits where it's like they're clearly just pausing for effect.
Yeah.
But it kind of seems out of place.
But that's when. I think this is where the difference comes in. Is like. That's the really goofy, cheesy shit.
That's the thriller
that comes from like old school horror.
Yeah.
It's like it's a forced scene of tension, but it's like I think people nowadays they're not used to that kind of storytelling, and that's the thing. Like the campness from filmmaking is really kind of gone over the last few years. Everyone's into like gritty realism, even with sci-fi stuff. It's still like grounded and real and sometimes I want a bit of goof.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that he still made some scenes genuinely quite tense and scary, or like not even scary, but just like it was a really good vibe. But then it would be followed by like some goofy Marvel shit, but it worked perfectly.
I think like we were talking before we started recording, and one of the things we said is that like I think critically maybe this film doesn't get taken as well in that way, because it's a bit it's not really like traditionally to the like critics approval. It's more of like
it's not what they expected.
It's more fun watching for the audience. Like we went and watched it the second time with some of my work colleagues,
was so much
and
nicer.
Like even though they're not, certainly not as much as we are, but they're not as much into Marvel and this whole like we can talk about like this whole shit and comic books for ages, but like they maybe aren't as aware. Or
I did have some good discussions
whatever.
that night with the boys.
Yeah,
like we
but
just got into it. Like,
but like they watched it, and even they were like, "Oh yeah, it's a bit goofy, it's a bit cheesy, but like actually, it's quite
good, it's
enjoyable to
enjoyable.
watch. It's a really
especially
fun
with
movie.
friends.
Yeah,
you can imagine like if when it comes to Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I can imagine just having people over, having some food.
Yeah, let's watch
whatever.
Let's watch Doctor
Just
Strange.
put it on. Like yeah. I can imagine it's just such an easy because you don't have to be paying attention to all the talking scenes.
Yeah,
but some of the cool scenes.
There's plenty of slapstick to go around.
There's a lot of visuals as well that you can just stare at.
Visually, it's a great film.
It's amazing.
Well. Yeah.
Even like the very beginning, it just starts with like all the colors under the fucking rainbow.
It throws you right in.
I will mention America Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
There is you see her in the trailer. There's just the young girl with the American jacket, the fucking Mary Sue of the multiverse.
Yeah.
It's just like you've got Wanda who's dealing with some shit. You've got Strange, she's like trying to figure her stuff out, and then you just got this one girl.
And then America's just there.
I'm trying to figure out my powers, and it's like you the tone is down here. You're like way up here right now.
Yeah.
Like you're at Nickelodeon. I need you to bring it down to like Evil Dead. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it worked well to like counterbalance some of the darker stuff, but again, to me, I've said this to you before so many times, but it just feels so aggressively like they want this young Avengers team. And again, like after Miss Marvel comes out and stuff like that, I think you're really going to start to see that they're going for the young, trendy superheroes that we don't take no shit, you know, and we're inclusive. It's like that kind of mindset of superheroes. It's like, I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
Like, MoonKnight was a Jewish superhero, and it kind of very naturally fell under the umbrella, and like, but it took itself seriously. It did all this shit, but it's like the kids, the Nickelodeon stuff.
Yeah.
I think as long as it's optional, I don't care. Like, have stuff for younger audiences, that's fun. Some of the characters are really cool. Like, Miss Marvel has been really good in the comics. She teams up with Miles Morales and Nova a lot. But, like, that doesn't mean in live action it's gonna... I can't...
Maybe not translate.
I've watched too much Hannah Montana to see where this is going. It's gonna be that kind of stuff with a Marvel filter over it.
Yeah.
But then again, putting over someone like Doctor Strange, who is a much more mature and crusty character, in that scenario, I think it works quite well. I don't know. I think they've very slowly been making their way to a more mature tone. We can now if an R-rated Deadpool came out from them, we'd go, yeah, makes sense. We've been getting there.
Yeah.
I don't want it to regress back into like the first Avengers. If you go back and watch the first Avengers now, it's kind of jarring.
Yeah.
It's so exactly to formula. It feels like if you went to Disneyland and you went on one of the rides and they give you the whole little cinema experience beforehand. That's exactly what it feels like. Compared to like, go to Endgame to the first Avengers even. It's just like fucking the depth. Oh, dude, it's insane. Like even the costumes. Captain America looks so goofy in the first Avengers film, and it's all very on the nose and cheeky.
Yeah.
And then by the end, they're all like covered in blood and just being like, "I want this to end." And like,
yeah.
It's interesting. I'm excited to see where Marvel goes because it's not going away.
Definitely not.
Which is like, I have to feel guilty to say now because I know there's so many people out there like, I'm so sick of Marvel films, but I like the comic books when I was a kid. I like the games. Like I've always kind of liked it. So for me, it's like it's not a bad thing because I've got content to watch. But I know there's so many people out there that just want to move on from like the superhero phase. But as I was saying to you, like they've been around in comic books. Like they've just transferred to another medium, and they're also in video games. Like the comic book genre is not going anywhere.
Yeah,
it's kind of infected pop culture as a whole.
Yeah,
it's the same as Disney.
I just want Star Wars to do it. It's like, because the one thing that Marvel does really well is they take concepts from the comic books and then they transfer that into something that works well on a big screen.
Yeah.
Right? It's not exact to the comic books, but they make adaptations.
They translate it very well, yeah.
And Star Wars, once Disney bought Star Wars, they just said, yeah, fuck that shit. That whole history, the whole like years and years of just legacy content that they could use, they were just like, nah. And, you know, you can see where Star Wars is now.
Essentially what they said is none of it's canon until we just bring it back.
Yeah.
And that was the gimmick, is like, they were bringing shit back from, what is it called? The...
Legends,
yeah. They would bring stuff back, but they would just do it in their own time as long as it fitted with their current scheme.
Yeah.
It's like, it was really unnecessary just to cancel everything.
Yeah,
like,
because my issue with it, for Star Wars at least, is that, you know, you had hundreds of fans, thousands, maybe millions of fans that, you know, their entire fandom is essentially based from comic books. You know, there's Star Wars fans that are far more into it, that are, you know, read comic books and novels just about Star Wars from different creators.
Some of the comic books are really good.
Yeah, and they have really good stories, and like the reason why, you know, there's such a huge fandom around Star Wars is because people could say like, oh, that's a, you know, maybe it's a reference to that in that comic book because that character was like this and they had that powers. And like the Old Republic, blah 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 blah.
I remember Vader got fleshed out a ton in Legends.
Yeah,
he got so much justice.
They, you know, the comic books and the books and the novels and everything is where Star Wars really like fleshed out all the gaps that were left from the movies.
Or the like, even like stuff like how economies work or different planets might work.
Yeah,
Mandalorian's got like an actual
Yeah, they
backstory,
gave
like.
backstory and context to almost everything.
There was also some super powerful like deity like Sith. Which
Yeah.
I want to see so bad.
Yeah,
I want to see
but
a
it's-
movie about
but
like a
it's like,
world eater, you know?
Then Disney took that and they bought Star Wars with the intention, we're gonna,
Just keep doing
pump money into it. We're gonna, keep making it. So you'd assume, okay, they're gonna take all this content that's already been made and they're gonna take the bits that are like the fan favorites and then they'll put those on screen. But they just haven't done that at all. And I think it's not really fair to those fans in the first place because it's like,
especially when you see how
it's
much
like
time
they've
and money.
just like,
been put into
all those
Marvel.
comic books and stuff. Like, it's not canon. Essentially, we're not gonna use it unless it fits our agenda.
Yeah, it's actually like if you bought the entire catalog of MCU films and then they said none of it matters anymore. It's all out of the way. It's like you can still enjoy them, but before they had value in the world, and now they just are kind of empty bits of paper or some
It's
shit.
like the position that DC is in at the moment. It's just like they kind of for years,
DC's in shambles.
like they've just been trying to
So
remake and establish some kind of universe for so long that
The Batman was like the biggest saving grace they could have ever asked for.
yeah, like recently Batman. That's
How
it,
much
like-
shit did they have to go through before they realized maybe we should just let the director make a fucking film?
Yeah.
They had to go through like
Why did they have to go through
billions
years
dollars.
of just like fans pestering them to release the Snyder Cut? Why couldn't they just have let Jack Snyder have his say in the first place? Would have been better.
I mean, it's like I'm at the point now where because I'm a big fan of the Matt Reeves Batman, it's like maybe it was a necessary evil, but it still kind of went on for way too long. Like they just made bad choice after bad choice. And again, this is mainly I separate this DC a lot. The live action stuff is so separate from like what's happening in the comics, the
animation.
games, animation. Like they're all so
In those arenas, they kind of crush it.
yeah.
But like for small screen TV for a series, DC crushes it. Justice League the show is banger. It's
But
great.
do you know what's the like where Marvel? I feel like now TV movies, it's all kind of interlinked. It's all run by the same kind of people.
It's mostly consistent as well.
Whereas DC is just like so segregated.
Up and down,
Like,
you never know.
when did DC have a fucking apartheid? Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So for that respect, you got to respect Marvel for what they're doing because they
Oh
take...
mate, it's Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's a fucking genius.
Oh yeah.
He came in and just did it all the work.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's just still there, and I think he could just be there for a long time.
Yeah.
Because he just knows how to make money, and he knows how to do it in a very satisfying way.
He was a writer first.
Yeah, well, because he's worked. Has he worked with Dave Filoni? No.
I don't know.
No, who am I thinking? No, but he works a lot with the directors and stuff. Like he's always about, which is really nice.
Yeah. No, he knows his stuff as far as the comics go.
He kind of knows where he wants to take the
He
plots.
wrote some Marvel comics, like before he went into that role as a producer.
I mean, what we doing for time? Do you know? Right?
That's an hour 17.
Do you want to just quickly do like spoiler talk, or should we just skip it?
Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on it, really.
Yeah?
Touched on pretty much everything.
Nice. In that case, I'm pretty happy to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Bang,
Thank you very
guys.
much for watching, guys.
Yeah, thank
or
you.
listening.
Sorry if you did listen. There was maybe like one joke you missed.
Okay.
Come check us out on YouTube. please. Oh,
Right, we'll catch you next time. If not, like, probably 2 weeks from now. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.